The call for European Museum of the Year Award and the Council of Europe Museum Prize was first announced in 1977. So in 2017, we are celebrating its 40th anniversary.
This was an exciting period for European cultural cooperation. The European Architectural Heritage Year had happened in 1975, and the next year saw the beginning of the Council of Europe Museum Prize. This was a prize which the Council of Europe set up to support the European Museum of the Year Award scheme, which was, in fact, based upon a UK model which had started a few years before and had been extended in the 1970s to Europe on the basis of a survey done by Kenneth Hudson of the situation of museums in Europe. Kenneth Hudson was a journalist, not a museum expert, and a somewhat maverick figure, largely interested in the field of industrial archaeology, but also in the impact that museums had on public. And it was this aspect that he was interested in pursuing on a European level. He was joined by Richard Hogarth, a former Assistant Director General of UNESCO, and people from the ICOM museum world, notably Louis Monreal. ICOM, of course, is a professional organization, and Kenneth Hudson was wanting to use professional expertise to look at the way museums related to the public.
The European Museum of the Year Award goes to a museum which contributes more directly to attracting audiences and satisfying its visitors, with innovative approach to presentation, interpretation, educational program, and social responsibility. The museums are assessed by the International Judging Panel, appointed by the European Museum Forum Board of Trustees.
The Council of Europe's Museum Prize, as I said, is a means of supporting the European Museum of the Year Award, which has been running ever since, and it has been, for me, a great privilege to have been with this scheme from its very beginnings and to see it continuing still now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the European Solidarity Center in the heart of Gdańsk and also the historical shipyard where Solidarity was born, one of the biggest non-violent movements in the 20th century. You see here my new colleague, that's Mirosława, a very beautiful woman. A lot of my male colleagues fall in love with her, and it's a big tragedy for us that she will go now back to Strasbourg and will work together with the next awarded institution. Only together we can deepen freedom in Europe, and we can guarantee, I would say, a fruitful, wealthy development for our nations.
As rapporteur for the Council of Europe Museum Prize, I have the pleasure to attend the meetings of the jury together with judges of the European Museum Forum. We look for museums that promote respect for human rights and democratic institutions. museums that maintain an open and inclusive policy to bridge across different cultures, overcoming social and political borders, museums that coach visitors towards new knowledge and ideas of good and responsible citizenship, museums that present a European perspective, museums that introduce innovative schemes of governance and management to increase cultural democracy and participation of artists, volunteers, and ordinary citizens. I believe that this special prize has an important role in promoting the core values of the Council of Europe, the values that we need to keep defending continuously.
I'm Diana Eccles, member of the House of Lords and a UK delegation to the Council of Europe. Last year, I wrote a parliamentary report on the libraries and museums of Europe in times of change. The museum part of the report focused on small and medium-sized museums. Across Europe, they may often lack resources to respond to economic change and rapid technological innovation. My report gives many examples of success stories in the museum sector. Likewise, the Council of Europe Museum Prize and the EMYA scheme provide opportunities for museums to network and to learn from each other. As politicians, we want to encourage the 47 member states of the Council of Europe to recognise the social, economic and cultural importance of museums and to put them higher on the political agenda. Governments have to ensure that public service provided by museums, and particularly the smaller ones, is maintained as part of the wider cultural and heritage infrastructure.
When you create a new museum, it's particularly important to develop a reputation, and our aim in creating the Museum of Liverpool, we said to each other, was to create the world's greatest city history museum. So winning a major award like the Council of Europe Museum Prize was an enormous boost for those of us that spent so many years working on that museum. And we were particularly pleased with the intelligence of the analysis of what we'd tried to do, because in my view, city history museums are straight down the middle human rights museums. The history of most people, most of the time brought up in most of our cities, has been that of being on the receiving end of power structures. They've not been well treated. Cities, even successful cities, have usually been full of very, very poor people struggling to make a living. And this is the kind of contrasts that we wanted to flag up in the Museum of Liverpool. And we're very pleased that in the Council of Europe Museum Prize citation, that the judges recognised that that's what we tried to do. And at the end of the day, winning a major European award like that is something which is worth an awful lot in terms of reputation, future fundraising, generating interest in the media, and generating big audiences for what we've got to say.
In 2016, my report on culture and democracy was adopted by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. This report is now a part of the wide cultural policy framework that promotes the principle of participation in cultural life as a fundamental human right. It calls on member countries of the Council of Europe to facilitate access to culture by women, youth, minorities, migrants, refugees and asylum seekers. It reaffirms the Council of Europe fundamental set of values that resonate today with exceptional significance. The Council of Europe Museum Prize and the European Museum of the Year award scheme is part of this framework of building strong democratic institutions and participation of citizens. The prize is a symbol of the democratic ideals that the founding fathers of Europe have envisaged for us: peace, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. This network of excellent museums gathered in the last 40 years share a common ability to highlight the value of culture and heritage and help people to understand them.
I would just like to ask you, what was the impact of the award you received?
The main impact was for all the contributors to the museum that helped create the Riverside Museum, all the volunteers, all the people who donated their memories, and obviously for the staff. And also we stuck a big banner across the front of the museum proclaiming that we're brilliant and we won the European Museum. So thank you for enabling us to do that.
So you have been very successful. Do you have any recommendations for other museums for how to win European Museum of the Year award?
No. Just do your best, engage your communities, engage the people who don't visit your museums as well as the people who visit your museums. And I think that's what embeds you in your wider community and makes us for a successful museum.
Vorarlberg Museum in Vorarlberg, Austria. The Red Steinlein Museum in Antwerp, Belgium.
This special commendation goes to the MUSE, the Science Museum in Trento, Italy.
The Finnish Nature Center Haltia.
Familistère à Guise in King's Cross. The Kenneth Hudson Award 2015 goes to the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Museum, Geneva, Switzerland.
Ladies and gentlemen, the European Museum of the Year Award 2015 goes to the Rijksmuseum Amsterdam.
Hello, I'm Roger Mailloux, the director of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Museum in Geneva. We won the Kenneth Hudson Award 2015. It was very important for us because we had a visitor survey just before, and if I may say, 97% of our visitors were happy with the new project. So the Kenneth Hudson Award was important as a recognition by our peers.
Hello, I'm Frederick Penny, director of the Familistère de Guise, a little town in northern France. We won the Silver Prize last year in 2015. Well, it was quite important for us. We have just finished a part of the museum, and this prize for us was the beginning of maybe an international audience, but also it was important for national days, recognition of the quality and the ingenuity of our museum.
The judges know, and you should know, that the judging work was a very difficult task. The Council of Europe is active in 47 countries with 800 million of citizens. So you can imagine the diversity in the applications we receive. And moreover, comparing different projects in different contexts is always difficult. However, as the judges come from all parts of Europe, we think that we have been able to take into account specific contexts and to evaluate these projects' function of the contexts.
We have dedicated one day of the EMYA conference to one of our founding fathers, Kenneth Hudson, for whom his collaborators say that he loved life, liked practice better than theory, and believed that the heritage and social commitment can go hand in hand in order to change our lives for better.
The jury, of course, for rewarding us, for rewarding all the work we've done. It all started with the somewhat crazy idea to make the invisible visible. It took us 12 years. We were about to start to combine museum design with living organisms, and not just living organisms, but invisible living organisms. And there were so many people involved, and I'm so proud that all the work of those people is now being rewarded. And I truly hope that this award will help us to reach even more people and to make them enthusiastic about microbes and microbiology.
And for us it meant really a lot. It was acknowledgement of museum professionals that the subject we treated, which is love and human encounter, deserved to be content of museum exploration. Although our project started as an art project in a ship container in an art gallery, so for us Kenneth Hudson meant a lot of recognition when we founded this permanent place in Zagreb 2010, and the award came in 2011, and for us it was really a good start.
Good morning, John Green from Glasnevin Trust.
And I'm Peter Harbison, also from Glasnevin Trust.
When we won the Kenneth Hudson Award, I think the biggest thing for us was it gave us confidence in what we are doing. The Kenneth Hudson Award is given to museums that are daring, that show challenge, face up to challenges. We set up a museum in a cemetery. It was quite surprising for the public, and probably even more surprising for my colleagues in the trust, that we intended to open a museum. The idea of the museum was to open our collection, which is 1.5 million people buried in our cemetery, to the public.
And it was an absolutely wonderful experience for us to actually receive this award. We felt not only honoured to be honoured in this way in Europe, but also, at home, people suddenly realised that we weren't just a kind of a museum in a cemetery, that we were suddenly a national institution.
About 2/3 of life on Earth cannot be seen with the naked eye. And they're with many, but they're also everywhere. They're on your chair, they're on the bag you just received, they're in you, they're on you. Is there anyone who dares to make a guess how many microbes you're carrying at this moment?
We have a collection of eggs, Easter eggs, and we have the biggest variety of Easter eggs of the world.
In our museum, we focus on human fates of individual forced labors, showing the recruitment process, everyday life, repression, and consequences for the future lives.
Was born to address this massive stray dog problem in the litorale Domizio.
Baxi Museum is located on top of a hill which is very far from the center. Baxi Museum has a different concept the other museums because it's very important to do something with local culture and modernity. And we want to use art and design for the contact, to product something new for their life. It's very important because Bayburt area suffering very big problem about migration. We want to solve some migration problems by creating some new project. Because of that reason, Baxi Museum really a unique museum.
I'm Carl Pauw, I'm the former director of the MAAS. We started with the MAAS, a new museum in Antwerp, a city museum in Antwerp. We started with that museum, I think, about 15 years ago. When we opened our doors in 2011, and one of the main ambitions of the MAAS was to convince the diverse communities who are living in Antwerp to have them involved in the program of the museum. And to be honest, we had a team and we had very good faith that we would succeed in that, but then in a sudden we received the Siletto Award, and that for us and for the team was very inspiring and very encouraging. And as a result of that, almost 1 year after we received the Siletto Award, in a sudden we received so much encouragement, not only by the communities, we had more audiences than before, but and that's also interesting, we received more money to have these communities involved in new programs. So thanks to the Siletto Award, we had more museum than ever before.
It is a great honour to be able to award the Siletto Prize again this year, and in such a wonderful city. This is the 4th year that this prize has been awarded, and we are struck each time by the originality, energy, and creativity of the winners. The aim of the Siletto Award is to encourage and reward good practice and innovation in developing the best voluntary and community contribution within the museum world. The Siletto Prize 2014 goes to the Sauer Museum of Switzerland.
Prize winner 2016 goes to the Vukovar Municipal Museum in Croatia.
So I'm very proud now to be in this family, museums family, and the people who keep memory of our past, for our todays, for the future. So thank you, everybody.
The European Museum of the Year Award 2014 goes to the Museum of Innocence, Istanbul, Turkey.
Well, I can't believe it, of course. Even I thought
even being invited is such an honor. Wow, we'll go, even if we don't win anything, we thought. So it's such a big surprise. But on the other hand, I gave so much time to it, and so many people gave so much time to it. Very little funding, all belief, dedication, imagination, hard work. I'm so happy. I am so happy. Thank you so much.
The European Museum of the Year Award 2016 goes to Polin, Museum of the History of Polish Use in...
Myself and my colleagues at the Polin Museum in Warsaw, actually the Ministry of Culture in the city of Warsaw shouldn't have paid us, because it's such a pleasure to work in this museum. And the core of the pleasure is to know that what we do is right and good. And not everybody is paid for doing right and good things. And now we are not only paid for it, we are also awarded. So it's much more than we deserve for what we do. And in fact, I'm coming back to Warsaw with 2 awards. One is this beautiful prize, and the second is the fact to be admitted to this fantastic company of yours. Thank you very much. We have been very proud to receive the European Museum of the Year award. Proud and happy, especially as we are a young museum. Our core exhibition was opened only 2.5 years ago. So these were great news for me, for my colleagues, for the museum board, to learn that the leading European museum experts have recognized this museum as the European Museum of the Year, as a top European museum. It was also of practical use for us, because we extensively spread the news of the award, and it attracted a lot of attention in the Polish media. We are the first Polish museum to receive this award, so media were eager to comment about it. Virtually all major newspapers, major TV channels commented, and we could see later on how it translated into a growing number of visitors. We also used the logo of EMYA in our outdoor campaign, reaching out to new tourists, Polish and foreign, who visit Warsaw.